Well, I'm really glad we're recording this because I'm going to go on record. When we have a project management opening here, you know who I'm coming for right here.
What is up, everybody? This is Yudi and welcome to another video. We have a special guest. This is my first collaboration with someone from corporate world or professional world to say. And I met Justin at one of the LinkedIn event. He was a host over there.
Yep.
And he is a co-founder and VP of recruiting at Aero Staff. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah. Aero Workforce Solutions, but short Aero Staff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let you introduce to my audience.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, man. I just want to extend a ton of gratitude for you and for taking the time to come meet with me today and can talk more about recruiting and getting hired and all those key things that we're going to discuss today. And I'm just fired up, man, to participate in that with you and create some content with you, man, because as you mentioned, we obviously met at the LinkedIn Local Chico event that I launched last September, and we've kept in touch since then. And so this is a long time coming, man. I'm just fired up to be part of it.
I'm same full gratitude and super grateful because I know I've been persisting you and I want you to be on my show. I want you to be on, and no better person than you starting this whole, collaborating with a professional world, someone from professional world.
Yeah, and so I get to answer a little bit more about myself. Yes, as you mentioned, I am one of the co-founders of Aero, and we are a specialized healthcare staffing company. We do locum tenens, which is just a fancy Latin term for traveling doctors, right? We're advanced practice providers that work temporary assignments at hospitals and clinics. And I've been in healthcare staffing like over 17 years. It's really all I know. I've been in the startup environment multiple times, and we're now starting the third company that I'm participating in the start of the third company, which I'm, again, super humbled and grateful to be a co-founder of.
Nice. And I think that's the right place where I want to start with staffing company. Yep. Like if you can talk about a little bit about what is staffing company, how does it work, and how safe it is to be in a staffing company. Because a lot of my audience come from India, or international audience, and they don't know anything about it. So let's start with
obviously I'm going to be a little partial to staffing. That's all I've ever known. But I think really at the end of the day is if you can leverage all your resources when you're trying to get hired or get a job, I think staffing companies can be a massive resource to leverage. And so ultimately what staffing companies do at the core of it is, we work with candidates, right? And we recruit them and we're helping them with their career. And then that's one half of it. The other half is the client side, which in our space is hospitals and clinics. And we work with them and we get job orders from them, right? So we have candidates on one side, job orders on the other side, and then we try to make a match, right? We try to align the clinician's career path with the facility's need, what they want, what their specialty is, right? The types of procedures, etc. And that's healthcare, but that is very common in all types of staffing companies, right? If you're looking for personnel or you're looking for IT, right? It's a very similar process. You have the candidate side, and then you have the client side, and then you make a match.
Right. And just curious with because I know there are other consulting companies too, which kind of hire people as their own staff and then they send it to the client side.
Yes.
But in staffing, what I know from my knowledge is more like, when you get a client order, you just connect with them and they become their employee instead of your employee. Yeah,
so actually that's a really good point. And so there's basically three cores to the types of staffing. So one is permanent placement, right? Where I recruit you and I place you at ABC company full-time, you become an employee of them, right? And I just help facilitate that process. We get paid a fee, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a direct hire, permanent placement. Now there's contract, which is where you want to go work at Google as a software engineer for a 9-month contract. So I place you on that contract. You are going to potentially be still an employee of our agency, but you're going to be working at Google, right? So a contractor. Or there's also temp staffing, which I personally have never participated in temp staffing, which is just day-to-day, locally here, that's what Rush does, right? A lot of the temp staffing. So the primary things that I've focused on in my career is contract staffing, right? And so, but those are contract and perm are the two kind of core components,
right?
And how you're getting placed,
right? And would you say that there is possibility of someone is doing a contract job to getting into full-time permanent?
Yes, these are all really good questions. I love it. So that's what is contract to perm or even temp to perm. So where, for example, we have a provider that we are working on placing, who he's going to do a 3-month contract to start, and at the end of that 3 months, he's going to have the opportunity to transition to perm. So yes, that's very common, doing the temp to perm and the contract to perm.
And I'm not sure if you have ever experienced with international students, because we need visas, work visas, and have you worked with international audience before? So
not from not on our side, like the healthcare side, the clinician side. No, I personally have not. Now, obviously, of course, with the opportunity to work internally at companies, I think is more relevant. But that is very common. I personally have not placed in the healthcare setting.
Right. And how safe would you say for someone who is looking fresher and looking for a job? Is it safe to go and join staffing company?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say 100% it is safe to do that. Now, as with anything, I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket, right? Like I would absolutely explore that as a resource, kind of as I mentioned, but also pursue things on my own. But yes, of course, it would be safe. I don't see why I wouldn't. I've never seen anything negatively in terms of that.
Okay, cool. No, so that's the one path which students can take to go and approach staffing company, and the other part is to getting hired, at the company itself. Correctly,
yeah. And I mean, I know that there are companies that specialize in that too, right? So it's just doing a little homework. If I'm if I'm the student that's trying to get hired, it's like doing some homework and focusing my time and efforts with the companies that can help me, not wasting time with companies that are just going to tell me what I want to hear and they can't really help me out. That's another big thing. It's kind of the qualifying the right staffing company as the same way you would a company that you want to work for.
That's a very good point. And so now let's dive into getting hired at the company and building the skill set. And I want to start with very basic. So someone who is studying right now, maybe bachelor's or master's.
Yes.
What are the skill sets should they focus on? Which, I know obviously if someone is doing software engineering, then they have to learn programming and all that. But what are the other skill sets which they won't learn in the classes?
Soft skills, not so much technical skills. So number one for me, hiring, I've hired hundreds of people over the years, right? Both internally and externally, is for me, man, it all starts with character, right? Character over talent, hands down, is the most important thing for me when I'm identifying, like, hey, is this person a good fit for us, right? And so how do you develop, to your question, like, how does someone develop their character, or maybe they already have it, how does it align with the character, the ethos of the company they want to work for? But hands down, character over talent. And at the end of the day, I know as an employer, like, I want to hire hardworking, high character people that are great fits for my culture, right? The culture that we've created. So I really think it starts from the employee side of it is self-awareness, right? Like knowing who you are, what are your values, what are your core beliefs, what is your personal ethos, right? And how can I align that with the type of company I'm working with? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And just to go into more detail, like how does someone show that skill set? Like, this when they're applying, they're just kind of applying to
so no, that's a great question, and so I love this. And so really, I think that from the best answer I can give on this is, how does someone stand out, right? How does a college student stand out from the masses? Especially if they're applying to bigger corporations, is like where they're getting inundated with maybe hundreds of applications for one job, right? And even if it's a small startup like us, where maybe I get 30 applications, I've got 30 applications the last 2 weeks, right? But I think the number one variable of how they can stand out is don't rely on that application process to get you hired, right? Let me explain. So is that you apply for a job, right? And you just apply and you're waiting to hear back. Number one, don't ever wait, right? You cannot wait for that application process, for that HR department to get you hired, right? What I would recommend doing, a couple of things, starts with, I guess there's a lot I can dive into this, but the 3 core things I think that would be helpful to focus on is, one, is branding yourself, right? LinkedIn, right? Using that is the resume of the future, right? I personally don't even read resumes anymore for when people apply, and I'm sure some people will hear this and be like, what? But no, I really don't, unless there's something really specific that I need to know about them. Like when people apply, I don't care about that resume, right? I look at LinkedIn, right? I look at social media, right? Did they send me a message as a follow-up, right? Yeah. So there's little things they can do to really stand out. So starting with like kind of creating your personal brand starting with LinkedIn is the number one starting point. I think most companies this day and age, they go to LinkedIn right away, right? But also not just LinkedIn, like Instagram, Facebook, right? Understanding that this is 2019, it's a different era thanks to the internet, right? And the qualifying process. So that, another thing which I can even share a story on this, I don't know how much time we have, but is that this day and age with employers, that they can go through all the social media networks, right, to get a good sense of what I do, right, like who this person is as an individual, back to the character part of it. But then determining through like LinkedIn, it's so easy this day and age, LinkedIn, and just having a little hustle, a little research, is who is that hiring manager, who is that director, who is the decision maker for the department, for the job that I want. Oftentimes it's going to be a recruiter that posts that job, right? It's not going to be the decision maker. Figuring out who that person is and reaching out to them directly. Why I say this is a good idea is it shows initiative, hustle, effort. It shows a lot of key character traits, right? But I can, from my personal experience, after the first startup that I was a part of, and it was acquired, and we moved on, did some things for like a couple years, and then when I got on board with Rise, which I helped build their travel nursing vertical from the ground up, what I did when I was like, okay, I need to get back into the workforce, I identified in Sacramento the 5 travel nursing staffing companies that had a presence in Sacramento. And then I sourced all the information of who the decision maker was for that office, that location, or Rise is a smaller company. So I literally mapped out before I never applied for anything. They didn't even have an open job. I had mapped out who each of the 4 owners were, who the director of recruiting was, had all their contact information before they ever knew who I was, right? They had no idea who Justin was. I sent an email to one of the owners who ran the Sacramento office. And within like 45 minutes of her receiving my email, she called me. I had like an hour-long conversation, came in the next day, sat down with her, and like 3 days later I went down to the Bay Area and interviewed. So it's going outside of the box, right? That's thinking outside of the box, doing more than the status quo when it comes to the job search. So figure out, and that was 2008. LinkedIn wasn't relevant at all. It's so much easier this day and age to use technology, to use social media, to use the internet, to figure out who these people are, right? And don't rely on the application process. Do not rely on HR. Go directly to who, like, hey, if you're the decision maker, I want to figure out who you are and contact you directly and tell you why I think I would be a great fit and why I think you guys would be a good fit for me, how it aligns, right? Which is another very important thing, which is, I realize going on a rant here on this one. And so is that when you're looking for a job hunt and doing the interview process, it's 100% a two-way street. Like you as the candidate or the individual that wants to get hired, you have to have that mindset. This isn't just a one-way street here, right? Like you need to be qualifying the employer, the culture, all of that. Who's going to be your manager? Who's going to be your leader to make sure, like, hey, this is a great fit for me. Yes, this is in line with my career path or where I see it going as of this moment in time, right? Things change, and that's fine too. So the third tip I would give, right? So in terms of how to stand out when you're on the job search, it's kind of go back to the mindset of don't wait on anybody. And this is something I just started incorporating into Arrow's hiring or interview process now, which I didn't do at Rise because video wasn't that relevant then. Right. Is I'm having the people that basically once they do the initial submission and then they do the phone interview, between them coming in for face-to-face, after the phone interview, I'm having them send me a video, right, as to why they're at this point they've had a conversation with me, they've done several other things, and still why at this moment in time are you interested in Arrow, why you think we're a good fit for you, why you're, vice versa, right? The give and the take there, and how it aligns with your purpose and passion, essentially, right? So sending a video submission to me if they want to advance to the face-to-face. Now, My suggestion is, again, don't wait for that. Again, if you stand out, like I determined, hey, Yudi, he's the decision maker. I want to come work for his team. I've emailed and I've called him. I'm going to send him a video, right? Of like a 1-minute video of why I'm excited, why I'm fired up to come. I want to work for you, right? So cool, yeah. I mean, if people did that, it would blow people away. And talk about literally standing out, man. I think that would be an understatement.
Yeah, I think that is really good, valuable content and tips for my audience, because they've been asking me, a lot of them are graduating and asking me like, hey, we started our job search, what do we do different? And I think those tips will totally help them. And now, since you talked a little bit about both LinkedIn and networking kind of combined. So let's focus on LinkedIn and then go to networking. Because I know LinkedIn is your thing.
I love LinkedIn,
And so, how can someone, let's talk, what's the importance of LinkedIn and, do people use LinkedIn? Let's start with there.
I hope they're using it. It'd be a wise move to start using it. And no, not everybody's using it, but I mean, I think as you know, it's like the last big statistic is it's like almost 600 million users, right? And it's growing, and that's just massive. Let's be real. No, it's not Facebook. No, it's not Instagram. Maybe not as big as Snapchat, but it's still massive. So should people be using it? 1,000%. Is it LinkedIn of the old? What most people still have that misperception of, where it's just a place to post your resume, just a place to search for jobs. No, yes, you can still do that on there, of course, but it has truly become a super powerful platform, which I know you know this. We've talked about it before, and it really has for networking, right? For making connections. And the other thing, which is people I think get wrong so much about all social media, is that, these aren't real life connections. Like, this is an example right here. Him and I connect. He came because of the LinkedIn local event, which was because of LinkedIn. We met in person. We developed a relationship from there, and this is a real life connection. So I think it's another thing, it is, you can make real connections, right? So the networking part of it, 100%. You use it to build a community around you, right? To be part of a community of like-minded professionals, right? I mean, it's so powerful. I mean, in tying it into creating content and using it more than just a job search, job board, which is not even that, but I know a lot of people identify it with that. For me personally, my experience last year, it's just been absolutely amazing. The positive impact that I'm able to have on my network, the relationships that I've built, is literally just, it's amazing, man. Like, it's crazy how powerful it is. I think it all starts with the right intent too, though. It's like, for me, it's like, I want to provide value first before everything else, right? I mean, at the end of the day, and so I think it starts with, knowing yourself, self-awareness, what is your intentions, right? Bringing value to build a community, to make connections, meaningful connections, right? Which lead to real life meaningful connections.
Sure. Yeah, and just going more detail into LinkedIn, because a lot of the audience who's going to watch it is going to require, is there to get a job. And their questions are more like, how do we build, what do we do special on LinkedIn? It's just we have our profile and we apply to job. What else can we do?
So that's exactly, I think you started with exactly where most people can improve on and do a better job of is their profile, right? Literally your profile. Everything starts with your profile on LinkedIn, right? And that's kind of same goes for any other platform, but for LinkedIn, it's it blows my mind. Something as basic as having a profile picture. Do you know how people do not have a profile? It's crazy, right? You want to think but it still fascinates me. It's okay, so dial in your profile picture, right? Dial in a headline, right? Create a summary, and if you're not creating content, that's fine. But if you do create content, link some of that up to your profile. I think from the candidate standpoint, I'm trying to get hired, hey, putting on your profile, having it speak to that audience of the type of employer you want to work for, right? The type of company you want to work for, what's important to you when it comes to culture, what's important to you when it comes to leadership. You put those, talk about those things on your profile so it speaks to that audience. So when they do happen to click on your picture, click on your headline because you identified what you're fired up with, what you want to do in that next career move, and then they can read you're speaking their language.
Right. Totally. And I also tell people that they should totally DM, a lot of people and their connection to, like you said, hustling hard into going and seeing if I'm applying to Arrows, I know Justin works there, so I can DM him and see, hey, do you know who's the project manager? I want to apply for that position. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, another tip on the DMing. So yes, 100%. One thing I'll add to that is if you hey, I want to come work for Yudi and his team at his company. I don't know what he's like as a leader. I see, but I want to ask, 2 people that work for him now, 2 people that worked for him before. It's DM those people too. Literally, hey, what was it like to work for so and so? I think that is a huge win too from the candidate side.
Yeah, totally. Now now I want to talk about networking because we touched a little bit and how student can, use networking, and is networking important to find a job in the United States? Yeah,
so I think networking is huge, right? It's literally what is networking at its exposure, right? You're getting exposure of you personally, right? And meeting people, and I know there's the saying that it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you, right? And so I think that plays a large role in networking, right? If you're not getting out there, if you're not pounding the pavement, going and mixing it up with the professionals in the industry that you want to be a part of, you're missing out on golden opportunities, right? So I think it plays a huge role, and you have to get and it's not and I think it too is don't just rely on LinkedIn, right? Don't just rely on the job boards, right? Don't just rely on networking events to do everything, right? Hustle, literally hustle. Get yourself out there and get exposure. But also, again, don't waste your time. Do it within the industry, the niche that you are passionate about, that you want to get a job.
Right. And just to go a little bit more into networking, the students when they come for their master's program, they're busy, which I understand. But I tell them to not just focus on their classwork. That's not going to get them job. Getting outside something, the classwork is going to get them jobs. So.
No, education is important, but at the end of the day, it depends. If you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a software engineer, you have to do some of this stuff, right? You don't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree to be a recruiter, right? And so I think it really depends on what your education is focused on, but to the point of you can't rely on that. And at the end of the day, is even in my profession, is they have to have certain degrees, but do I hire a doctor based on what school they went to, right? No, I evaluate the individual, the human being, the character of that person before even beyond any of that.
Right.
So it is important, but dude, to your point, absolutely not.
Yeah, and you just touched something which I wanted to talk about next was that university ranking. A lot of people have this misunderstanding that ranking, they have to be in top 10, they have to be in Ivy Leagues, otherwise they won't get a job. And what are your thoughts?
No, they do not. Absolutely not. And I think, what to quote, I maybe not quote him verbatim, but Gary Vee's huge on this. And I think he talks, it's literally this day and age, because of the internet, because of social media, because there's an abundance of opportunity thanks to the system of the internet and social media, is no, education. And I'm not discrediting education. I want to be very clear. You want to pay for a name brand of school, then cool, do that. But do you need that name brand of Michigan or Stanford or Harvard Business School to be a successful, contributor to the company you work for? No, I don't believe so at all. Outside of being a lawyer, being a doctor, and some of those really core things, but overall, no. And I think we're in the beginning of it, of where the education system is changing, right? Because you literally, you don't need to remember as many things as we want to say. We have Google, right? We have Siri. We have the remote control of life. We have access to so much information. The education system is changing. So I don't think it's as important as it was.
I totally agree on this, and that's what I tell to a lot of people, because I think a lot of them get discouraged that, I got so and so score and I'm not going to be able to make it to this college, and I'm like, you don't need that college to get a job.
No, I didn't even think about this till now, so I don't really share this part of my personal story. I didn't go to college, right? So no, I don't think you need college. And again, but I want to be very clear of like the context of what I mean by that. No, you don't need it. Yes.
Right. And that's what I'm like, you know, the core of this is that you don't need to have Harvard. You can still go to Chico State.
Chico State, man. I love Chico State. So we're going to build a team full of Chico State alum.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's dive into automation. It's an application tracking system. Yes, a lot of people are scared of that because they think that when they apply to a job and their resume is not going to be passing through that phase. What are the tips for how to hurdle that, and what are the tips for resume?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's a lot of it. The first thing that comes to mind is kind of what I already talked about. You cannot rely on that applicant tracking system 100% get you a job, right? It's not going to. Or like your mindset has to be this. I'm just doing this because this is required of me for their process, but this is not going to get me the job. Justin will have to get this job. I will have to will myself to success, right? Through my hustle, my effort, and figuring a way around that applicant tracking system, because it's just going to get lost in the pile of 30, 50, 90 other applications. And so how to hurdle that, honestly, for me, it really goes back to what I said a little bit earlier, is like, figure out, do your homework, do some research. Who is the person that is going to be deciding who they want to interview, who they want to hire from that application tracking system, that process, and reach out to them, connect with them.
Right.
And honestly, I think that is the number one thing anyone can do. Second again is building their brand. So when people do review, they get the application, they go to LinkedIn, they go to Instagram, like, okay, this person looks like a winner, I want to talk to them.
Right. Yeah, and just so that people understand what we are talking, because I understand totally what you're coming from, and I've heard you talk about this so many times on your LinkedIn. By the way, if you want, you should not. You should go and follow it. He makes a lot of good content on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot of follow requests or connection requests. So
I appreciate that,
and I'll put your link. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Link me up.
So link him up. But I was saying, just for my audience sake, giving them a clear example. Let's say, I'm looking for project management job. They said my city, or like this is Sacramento, Chico is where I'm looking for project management. I looked up, there are 5 companies which have project management job. I saw that there are people who are working in it. I start connecting those people. I'm just, trying to practicalize what you have said in theory and making sure that that's what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. That makes total sense. The one thing I would even to clarify too, to take it a step further, is even what about the companies that don't have a job posted, right? Like, so you said you've identified there's 5 companies that have openings, right? Maybe there's 6, 7, or 8 total companies, right? Is okay. Well, I'm going to apply and start that process of those 5. But again, to the point, and again, it's like, well, those other 2 or 3 companies, maybe they don't have a job posted, but you don't know what's going on. You don't know that somebody might be leaving or somebody is on the fence of getting fired, right? So figure out who the decision makers are at those other companies and reach out to them proactively. Right?
And when you say, and I think this is good for whatever you shared. I think this is going to give them such a clarity on hiring process and recruiting process and LinkedIn and networking. Is there any last tip which you want to give to my audience when they're studying? Because majority of my audience are the one who's studying for that.
Just to kind of pull it all together, I think we've really touched on a lot of the key things, and it's it's about starting with your online presence, right? Through LinkedIn, through social media, networking, right? I think and hustling, man. Really, just you bring it all together. It's like, how are you going to stand out from the crowd, right? And then the other thing which we haven't really talked a whole lot about, kind of a little bit, but I think it's like super, super important, is self-awareness. Like really knowing, like, why am I doing this? Why do I want to work at this type of company? Why am I in this space, right? Is it something I truly want to do, or is it something that my parents think is best for me to do, right? Maybe I don't really want to do it. So I think that would be the other thing to add to that equation, is really, really, self-knowledge, right? Is this something I'm really passionate about, right? And starting there, and kind of like, the whole concept of what is my why, what's my purpose and passion, right? For me, that's like, what fires you up, man? Like, what do you get excited about? If you kind of use that as an initial starting guiding point, I think you'll land.
And just to give you a quick example of mine, I did my master's in computers, and I was telling you off camera, and then then, you know, after my first semester, I was like, I don't like this at all. This is not me. I can't sit in front of computer and code for 8 hours. I'm a people person. I need to do something else. And then I started building myself up to, you know, becoming a business analyst and project manager. And you know, I now love what I do. Awesome, I can, like, my boss can call me 3 in the morning and I can still work. It's because I love what I do.
And so let me ask you a question. And to that point, which I think is good too, is like you love what you do. And so would you say that you are intrinsically motivated, right? It's coming from inside. Why I'm willing to work at 3 in the morning. It's like, for me, it's like why I love the process of building a company, like, and why it's like the whole concept for like me to that question is like why do you have to work on a Saturday? Why do you have to work on a Sunday? Well, no, I don't have to work. I want to work, right? And so for you, like, would you like it's like you feel like you're intrinsically motivated to do what you're doing?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely super passionate about what I work. I can't wait to see what I can do more and more efficient and better at work. And you know, so it's totally inner, like you said, being aware of what you really love to do. So
well, I'm really glad we're recording this because I'm going to go on record. We have a project management opening here. You know who I'm coming for right here.
See, that's how you make network. No, this is good. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful and immense gratitude for, you know, taking your time out for my audience and, you know, reaching out to them. And we're gonna do a second part where we're gonna do Q&A. Just, you know, my audience have like some questions. It's like a super short video. I didn't want it to jam into this one. I wanted to do a separate one. So, and for this one, you know, I have a sign off that I say, keep smiling and keep hustling. Do you want to do that?
I would love to. I'm fired up to do it.
I think that's it for this one. And
keep smiling and keep hustling. Rock your greatness too.